So we're going to focus today on a new type of line form. It's called point slope form. And as you might be able to guess from the name, it's really easy to figure out if you know a point on the line and the slope of the line. So this is actually the formula, and this is on the board, it's on the wall in the classroom. So it's y minus y1 equals m times, in parentheses, x minus x1. So the easiest way to figure this out is to look at an example. This here is a point that's on the line. This here is the slope of the line. That's what it says here. Write an equation in point slope form of the line that passes through point 5, 1 and has a slope of -3. So we can just start filling in the blanks here. So it's going to be y minus, and then what's my y value? It's going to be 1 is equal to, what's the next thing? That's the slope, m. So that's going to be -3 because the slope is -3. And then in parentheses, it's x minus this x value here. So we're going to do a couple more of those. So the example I just did is up at the top there. Here is the formula for this equation. And again, we're going to do this again. I'm going to emphasize these different, the point is here and the slope is here. So we should be immediately able to write the equation. So it's going to end up being y minus -2, because that's that part there, because that's the y coordinate, is equal to 5. So that's the slope, 5 times x minus -3. So we're going to do this and make it a little bit easier to understand. Minus and negative is the same as plus. So it's going to be. So that's the final form of it. And again, it's putting the things in the right spot. So let's try this one here. This one is going to end up being, again, y minus this part here, 4, because that's the y. It's the y coordinate of the point, is equal to -4, because that's the slope, times x minus 1. That's the end of it. Going to pause. You should pause here for a moment, and then I will do the next one. I'll write down the correct answer for the next one. You can check your work. So that's going to be the correct answer because it's going to be y minus -8, and then x minus 6, and then the slope is -4/9. Have to simplify the y part because it's minus and negative. Now, graphing with point slope form is something that you can figure out pretty easy if you just remember one little trick, and that's no matter what the value is with the x and the y, you've got to take the opposite of it, because remember the formula is y minus -1, or minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. So whatever is here, the point is actually the opposite of it. So the point's value for x is going to be -2, and the point's value for y is going to be +2. That's what it says right here. So I can plot that point -2, 2 right here. And then it says what the slope is. It says the slope is 1/2. That means it's going to be up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. And then when you connect those, you got this. And that's the equation of the line. So if you've got a point, and or if you can figure out the point quickly and you've got the slope, then you can graph it really quickly. And you don't need to figure out the y-intercept in this case. So I'm going to graph this top one here, and then you can try the bottom one. So here the point, remember the y value, because it's -2, the y value is 2 for the point. The x value is going to be -4, because it's the opposite there. And this is the slope. So negative 4, 2 is going to be 4 over, or 4 to the left and then 2 up right there. And then the slope is negative 4, 7, so that means down 4. And over 7. And then you just connect the dots. And there we go. Now pause here and try yourself for this next one here. Y plus 3 is equal to 4 times quantity x plus 2. So that's what the line should look like, because again, the y value is negative 2 for the point. The x value is negative 2 for the point. So that's why it's this point, the starting point, and then our slope is 4. Now to write the equation in point-slope form of a line when you're given 2 points, like here, I'm being given 2 points here. First one is 3, 3. The second one is 1, negative 2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out the slope of that line. If you want, you can count it out, or you can figure it out that it's going to be 5 over 2, 5 halves. So up 5 over 2. Now you got the slope. You can use either of the 2 points to plug it in. What I mean by that is, this is the equation if you use this as the point. And then this is the equation if you use this as the point. It doesn't matter which one you use, just whichever one works for you. And actually both these, if you change it to slope-intercept form, are going to be that. So this is just a quicker way of writing out the line form. So you can try this one yourself. Remember, the first step is figuring out the slope and then just plugging in either of the 2 points in for the line. So I'm going to pause here, and then I'll do the work on this side here. So pause. So for these 2 points here, figure out the slope. The slope is going to be negative 2. Then after you do that, then this is going to be using the blue point that I went ahead, and this one here is going to be using the green point. And they both figure out the same answer in slope-intercept form. And this is the same thing, just without the graph to use. So for the top one here, I'm going to go ahead and choose this to be my value here. So it's going to be negative 13 minus 8 is equal to 4 minus negative 3. It's going to be negative 21 over 7. So it's going to be negative 3 as a slope. And then as you move it over, it's going to end up being, if I choose this one here, actually I'll do that one in blue. And you just have to do one of these, not both, but I'm going to do both of them. If you choose that one there, it's going to be y minus 8 is equal to negative 3 x plus 3, because remember it's minus minus. And the second one here that now is in green is going to end up being y plus 13 is equal to negative 3 x minus 4. So in this point here, going to give you guys a chance to go ahead and do this one yourself. So pause again and try this one yourself. And here's the answer to this one, with one of them being the red point and one of them being the blue point. So here is a word problem in which we can use point-slope form to solve a situation and actually come up with an equation to work with. So it says your radio station charges $650 for the first minute of ad time and then $340 for each additional minute. Write an equation that gives the total cost in dollars to run an ad as a function of the number of minutes the ad runs. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to define the variables we're working with. So C is going to be the cost. So C equals cost. And then it says here, it's going to be a function of the number of minutes. So we write down n is the amount of minutes. So it says up here that it's $650 for the first minute. And the amount of minutes is going to determine the cost. So the number of minutes is sort of like the x part. It's the thing that's the independent variable that determines the cost. So that's where we're going to treat it sort of like x. So number of minutes is 1, and that's $650 for that first minute. That's what it says up there. And then it gives us this here, $340 for each additional minute. So that's like the slope, because for each additional minute, it goes up. It's like up 340 over 1. So now I'm going to just plug in my numbers here. So I'm going to treat c as if it's going to be my y, because that's the thing that is depends on the number of minutes, and n is going to be like my x. So it's going to end up being c, the cost, minus 650 is equal to 340. So that's my slope. And that's going to be the number of minutes minus 1. So that's an equation that should work. And that says you're finding the cost for 7 minutes of add time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in 7 where this n is and see what happens. So it's going to be c minus 650 is equal to 340 times 7 minus. So it's going to be c is equal to 650, 340 times 6. I'll do the math over here. So it's going to end up being 340 times 6 is 2160. And then I would add 650 to both sides, and I'll be left with c is equal to, let's see here, $2,810. So that would be the cost of 7 minutes of add time. And that seems pretty a reasonable answer. Yeah, that's a complicated word problem, but it's a way of using point slope form to figure something out like that. So here's the next problem, and it says here the table shows the cost of renting a canoe for different times and hours. Can the situation be modeled by a linear equation? Explain if possible. Write the equation that gives the cost as a function of time and hours. So again, the amount of time is going to be our x value, and the cost is going to be our y value. So if we look here, I'm going to call this c, I'm going to call this t. Actually, no, I'm going to call it n just because I prefer n over t. And what I'm looking at is each time it goes up 2 hours, it goes up $10. 2 hours, $10. 2 hours, $10. 2 hours, $10. So that means it's going up at a constant rate. If I were to figure out the slope of this, I'd go ahead and I'd do 30. Let's see here, as I said here, I'm going to treat this as my x and this is my y. So 2 and 22, and then 4 and 32. So the difference between the x's is going to be 2, so 4 minus 2, that's on the bottom, and 32 minus 22 on the top. So that's going to be 10 over 2. So that means it's a slope where the cost changes per hour $5. Now I can just plug in any of these points. I'm just going to plug in the first point here. So that's going to be equal to m. And now I'm going to go ahead and see, well, the cost, as I said, the cost minus 22, because I'm using this first point, is equal to 5 times n minus 2. And then we can test any of these points and see if it actually works. So in this case here, so the cost minus 22 is equal to 5 times the number of hours minus 2. So let's just plug in one and see if that works. I'm going to plug in this one here. So it's going to be the cost, that's 32 minus 22. Is that equal to 5 times 4 minus 2? Yeah, it is, because it's 10 is equal to 5 times 2, which works. And so this here is my equation, and that would give me a quick way of figuring that out.